All right. So thank you all so much for joining me for a 60-minute yoga class. It's a restorative yoga class. We're going to be on the floor the whole time. We'll do longer holds of postures. It's meant to be relaxing. We're going to work not just into muscle tightness, but also into connective tissue and fascia. And the theme of today's class is head and shoulders, knees and toes after the popular children's song. So we will work on tightness in our head or our neck, our shoulders, our knees, and our toes specifically. And because I love to commit to a theme, we are going to start with a grounding practice focusing on eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head and shoulders, knees and toes. So if you've never heard of grounding before, a grounding practice or an earthing practice is something you can do when you're feeling a little untethered, like you're very much in your head and not in the physical world. And there's lots of different grounding techniques like smelling a candle, drinking a glass of water. It's just mindfulness techniques. The grounding technique I'll share with you today is called 5-4-3-2-1. And it's very simple. We're going to engage our five senses as a way to kind of ground us in the here and now. So you're just going to start by sitting in a comfortable position. In yoga, we call this easy pose. So even just sitting crisscross applesauce with one foot in front of you, you're already doing yoga. We call it easy pose. And we're going to start by picking five things that you can see around you. So take a moment and just hone in on five objects in your periphery. And just take a moment with each of them to really hone in and acknowledge what they are. And again, the idea with grounding is that sometimes we're so in our head that we don't even realize, our own surroundings. By starting to get in contact with the physical space around us, kind of take ourselves out of that overly cerebral part of the brain and are a little bit better able to connect to the here and now, right? Like the things that you're seeing around you are real. They're real, they're in front of you, and we're just taking a moment to hone in on five objects that you can see as a reminder that you are real, just as the things that you are seeing are real. You are not an illusion. Okay, once you picked five things that you can see with your eyes, now we're going to hone in on four things that you can hear. And at first you might be like, I only hear one thing. If it helps, you can close your eyes and kind of shut off the other senses. See if you can hear four distinct sounds in your area. Okay, so we've practiced five things we can see, four things we can hear. I now invite you to the sense of touch. So pick three things that you can touch around you, maybe like your yoga mat or carpet. And just take a moment really feeling whatever those things are. Next, we'll move on to two things you can smell. And last but not least, one thing that you can taste, maybe a lingering taste. Okay, so that's our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding practice in relationship to eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head and shoulders, knees and toes. And that's just something you can do whenever you're feeling a little bit untethered or a little bit too in your head, right? You just focus on your 5 senses. From here, in the theme of head and shoulders, knees and toes, we're going to start with a little bit of self-massage. So just start by massaging your eyes, ears, mouth, you see where this is going, and nose. Now moving to your scalp, giving your head a nice massage. Especially during COVID, a lot of us are really like devoid of touch, or we're touching the same like 2 people, right? And so it's kind of nice to remember that you can massage yourself, you can give yourself a hug. Once you've massaged your scalp, start to massage your shoulders. Feels so good. So, you know, many of us, like at some point in our life, will seek external validation, of course, right? And a lot of yoga and of these little self-care practices are going inward and validating ourselves, literally through the act of like massage rather than needing somebody else to massage us, right? But also through like positive thought patterns in class. So if you ever find that you're doing engaging in negative self-care during your yoga class, just set that aside, right? We're seeking to validate ourselves and be whole in and of ourselves. Next, moving to the knees, you can massage your kneecaps, maybe the backs of your knees, just noticing any tenderness there. And we will do postures that work into the knees today. For those of you with chronic knee pain, or you know that knees are a source of tightness, or you've had a knee surgery, something like that, I will give modifications for all of the postures. Same thing with the shoulders, with the toes, with the head, right? Make sure to give you guys modifications if you know that you have certain tightness or pain. And last but not least, massaging your feet and your toes. My toes always pop when I move them. You didn't need to know that. All right. Good. Okay, wonderful. So that's our little warm up for today. Rather than doing a breathing exercise, I thought we'd do grounding and self-massage. From here, we're going to go into cat and cow pose. You're going to find yourself in a tabletop position, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And for cat pose, as you exhale, round your spine up towards the ceiling, drop your head down towards the floor, spread your shoulders wide. Press your hips towards your ribs so your back rounds like a cat. For cow pose, drop your stomach down, lift your chin and chest, bring your shoulders away from your ears, squeeze shoulders together, and point your tailbone up. So if you think about a cow, you know, you see how their stomach hangs down. That's what we're doing here, letting your belly drop, shoulders down away from your ears, looking up towards the ceiling. Cat pose, round your spine, meow. So you want to create space between the vertebrae. Drop your head down, look towards your thighs, press your hips forward, spread your shoulders wide, root down through all 28 knuckles. Cow pose, moo, drop your belly down, lift your chin and chest, stick your butt up a little bit, bend the spine, open through the chest. One more round, cat pose, round your spine, drop your head, try to press the middle of your back up towards the ceiling, push the floor away from you, drop your head. And cow pose, drop your belly down, lift your hips, lift your chin and chest, nice stretch through the throat, the chest, squeeze shoulders together, bend your spine. Good, come back into a neutral position and we're gonna do thread the needle. As you inhale, reach your right arm up, looking up. Exhale, bring your right arm through left arm and legs so that your right shoulder is on the floor. Option to stay here with left hand on the floor. You want hips over knees, or option to lift your left arm up and drape it behind you for a half bind. Now, if thread the needle is intense on your shoulder, no problem. There's an alternative. Come out, sit back on your feet. So now you're getting a nice ankle stretch. Bring your right arm across the center line of your body and bend your left arm up. Now you still get the same shoulder stretch without putting weight on that part of your body. Okay, if you're in thread the needle and your left arm is draped behind you, start by taking away that bind, place your left hand on the floor close to your face, and everybody together, inhale, reach your right arm up, looking up. Exhale, right hand down to the floor. Other side, inhale, reach your left arm up, looking up. Exhale, thread the needle, left hand through right arm, left shoulder on the floor, lean forward. You want to keep your hips over your knees. Reach your right arm up if it feels good and drape it behind you for a half bind, or keep your right hand on the floor close to your face. And if this side doesn't feel right, no problem. Come into a seated position, take your left arm across your body, bend your right arm up, and you get the shoulder stretch without placing weight on the shoulder. Take an inhale and an exhale. If you have your right hand wrapped behind you for a bind, start by releasing that bind, place your right hand on the floor close to your face, and everybody together, inhale, reach your left arm up, look up. Exhale, left hand down to the floor. Good. From here, you're gonna tuck your toes under, bring your knees and feet close together, and we're gonna do what's called toe stretch. This is our first long hold posture. As you're ready, you're gonna walk your hands back and sink your hips down. And if your toes burn right away, I am right there with you. Couple options here. You can try opening your knees wide, but keep your feet together. Try to flip your pinky toes and fourth toes out, so all 5 toes are stretching. You can have your hands on your thighs, or as a nice gesture towards yourself, hands at heart center in prayer. We're going to stay here for 2 minutes. I will be timing some of these postures, so if you see me on my phone, I am not ignoring you. I am simply timing the postures so that we don't hold for too long or too little. Now, right away, if sitting back on your heels is too much, come up a little bit. However, if it's pain, come out. If it's discomfort, I'm right there with you. Our toes are really tight. So many of us have super tight toes. This is your posture. If you just do it for like a minute every day or 2 minutes every day, eventually the toes start to open up. As the toes start to burn, if yours are as mine are, notice if you start to grit your teeth or tense your shoulders or hold your breath, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, sit up tall, and breathe through your nose. Notice how you're breathing. As you inhale, feel your chest rise. As you exhale, feel your shoulders fall. I'm right there with you. About 20 seconds left. Okay, wonderful. From here, we're gonna come out of it together, put your hands on the floor in front of you, and this is the fun part, tap it out. Your downstairs neighbors will love it. So you're gonna tap out your feet here so it feels really good. You can take a counter stretch, taking a moment here, sitting in Vajrasana or firm, so you get this nice toe ankle stretch, sweet relief, right there with you. And then we're gonna turn and lie down on our back for a short little puddle pose. I'm gonna adjust my camera angle ever so slightly. Okay, so lie down on your back. Woo. With your heels turning in, toes turning out, but you can have your arms and legs kind of out if you'd like. So For those of you that do 26 and 2 yoga with me, we would call this corpse pose or savasana, right? And it's in that style of yoga, in like Bikram yoga and vinyasa yoga, it's usually pretty specific, like heels together, toes fall open, arms down, close to your sides, right? You've heard it all before. However, in this style of yoga, in a restorative or a yin class, there's a little bit more of a freestyle element. So we call this puddle pose. So rather than acting like a corpse, you want to act like a puddle, right? You can have your arms and legs out as much as you want, kind of just relax through the body. And we'll return to puddle pose periodically throughout class as a way just to let your body kind of recalibrate. So for example, in that toe stretch that we just did, right, we cut off a little bit of circulation to the feet. So now that we're back in puddle pose, lots of fresh blood circulating through the toes, through the ankles, through the knees. So it's an irrigation of the blood system in the body. From here, we're going to do what's called bananasana or banana pose. So picture in your head your favorite banana. Can be super ripe or super green. It can be Chiquita, Dole, Fair Trade, Trader Joe's, organic, what have you. And just picture that curvature of a banana, that C shape, and we're going to make that with our body. So start by bringing your feet close together. Bring your arms over your sides, arms over your head, so hands above you. So from a bird's eye view, you kind of look like a pencil here. From here, start to bring your feet to the right side of your mat, and then your arms to the right side of your mat so that the whole left side of your body gets a stretch. You can cross one foot on top of the other, maybe left foot on top of right foot or right foot on top of left foot. You can also cross one hand on top of the other or have them be side by side. Option to just rest your head on the floor looking up towards the ceiling, or you can tilt your right ear down towards the floor to rest your head a little bit and get a bit of a neck stretch here. We're going to hold here for 2 minutes. So this is a great way to stretch the left side of the body. And you might also notice a stretch to the left knee, to the IT band, to the outer left thigh. Having the arms over the head stretches the shoulders ever so slightly. Keep your neck as an extension of the rest of your spine in this nice C shape. So you're not forcing your neck or your spine. To get a deeper stretch, you can bring your hands and feet closer to the right side of the room. If it ever becomes too much, you can bring your hands and feet closer to the center line of your mat. Just getting a nice side stretch on the whole left side of your body and a gentle contraction to the right side of the body as you breathe in and out through your nose. About 20 seconds left in the posture. This is the time if you'd like a deeper stretch, maybe bring your hands and feet further to the right or hold just where you are, knowing that the end is near. Take a slow inhale, a slow exhale. If you're looking to the right with your right ear resting on the floor, start by bringing your back of the head back to the floor, and then slowly bring your hands and feet back to the center line of your body, arms and legs down, puddle pose. Just taking a few breaths here, maybe rolling out your hips or shoulders. So we'll hold most postures in this class between 2 to 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes tops. The longer we hold them, the more that we'll work into connective tissue and fascia. So, when we hold postures for like 30 seconds or a minute, that can strengthen or stretch muscles, and it works a little bit into joints. But when we hold postures for long periods of time and try to relax into them rather than like force ourselves into them, that's when we really start to work deep into the body. Let's do the other side of banana pose. Bring your feet close together, arms over your head, and this time bring your feet And arms to the left side of your mat, to the left side of the room. Option to cross one foot on top of the other or one hand on top of the other, or have your hands and feet side by side. And this side might feel a little or a lot different, and that is normal, right? We're not symmetrical, so maybe on the other side you felt super tight, and on this side it feels really good. And that's just something to notice. You might know already why this side feels different, right? Like maybe a shoulder injury or a knee tightness, an IT band tightness, or you might have had no idea that this side would feel so different. And that's normal too. Yoga gives us an opportunity to notice our incongruencies, where we're tight, not just in body, but in mind as well. It gives us an opportunity to address those incongruencies or tightnesses or stubborn bits. And it also gives us an opportunity to let go of that stubbornness and just be okay with the fact that, like, you know, in some postures, one side will always be a little bit more pleasant than the other. And that's okay, right? We're not meant to be totally symmetrical. We're certainly not meant to be perfect, right? We are perfectly imperfect. And that's what makes this interesting. Yoga would be really boring if everything was easy. Dare I say, life would be really boring if everything was easy, right? So we're just breathing into our discomfort, leaning into it and relaxing into it rather than shying away or moving away. Slow inhale and slow exhale. About 15 seconds left on this side if you'd like to get a little deeper. It's where you move your hands and feet closer to the left side of the room. All right. As you're ready, make sure your head is on nice and long, and then bring your feet and arms back, arms down, puddle pose. Breathing in and breathing out. The next pose is what we call open wing pose. You will want a pillow, a towel, or a blanket nearby, something that you can place underneath your head. So as you're ready, bend your legs up so your feet are on the floor and your knees rest together. From here, roll off to your right side so that the right side of your body is on the mat. And you're going to take your pillow or blanket or what have you and place it underneath your head so that your neck is in line with the rest of the spine. The idea is you don't want your head dropped all the way down. You want your neck in line with the rest of your back. Okay. From here, place your left hand on the floor on the right side of your mat. Take your right arm and bring the right arm back behind you to a 90-degree angle. From here, you're going to keep your right leg straight, bend your left leg up, left foot on the floor, and start to roll over so that your left shoulder stacks on top of right shoulder. And you'll feel this stretch to the right shoulder. This might be too much. You are welcome to come down a little bit so that your torso is closer to the floor, eventually rolling so that left hip stacks on top of right hip, left shoulder on top of right shoulder. Doesn't have to be today. You can also bring your arm down a bit or up a bit so it's not perpendicular to the body. If this feels good, you can stay right here, or if you'd like to get a deeper stretch, reach your left arm up to the ceiling, drape it behind you, and see if you can catch your hands together and then push the hands away from you. So now the chest is opening and the shoulder blades are squeezing together. We're going to stay here for 2 more minutes for 3 minutes total. So this is called open wing pose, and I think that is a lovely description. So think about having wings here. And again, you know, if we were to hold this posture for 30 seconds, I might say, like, go to your deepest point immediately, but we're holding for a while, right? So feel free to ease into it. And if something really feels uncomfortable, please switch up what you're doing. Remember that you can bring your torso, your chest closer down towards your mat so that you don't get quite as intense of a stretch, or for more of a stretch, right, can really roll back. So left hip on top of right hip, left shoulder on top of right shoulder. Too much is too much, too little is too little. In this style of yoga where we're holding postures for longer, err on the side of doing less. Do a little bit less, like 70% of what you think you should be doing, especially if you're used to doing styles of yoga where we only hold postures for 30 seconds, a minute, maybe 2 minutes tops. That's like power yoga, vinyasa, Bikram, hot yoga, stuff like that. We don't hold postures for 5 minutes usually. So when we're doing these 3-minute postures, you'll actually get more of a stretch by doing less. Less is more. Got about 30 seconds left. You're welcome to hold right where you are, or if you'd like to go a little deeper, maybe catching your hands behind you. If you haven't tried that already, feel free. Take a slow inhale and a slow exhale. Good. As you're ready, we're going to slowly come out of it. So if you have your left arm draped behind you in any way, start by releasing that grip. Place your left hand on the floor close to your head or face, and then slowly roll so that your torso is on the floor. And we're going to take a belly savasana. You're welcome to keep your pillow or blanket under your head, or you can remove it. Couple options here. You can bend your elbows out and drop your head down. You can look to one side, like look to the right, left ear on the towel. You can also bring your arms down by your sides. If you are looking in one direction, I will tell you when we're halfway through our belly puddle pose or belly savasana so that you can look in the other direction. Notice where you're holding tension, just release it through the exhale breath. If you're looking to one side, slowly lift your head and look to the other side. Nice little stretch for the neck and shoulders here. Breathing in and breathing out. Now I know what you're thinking. We just did the right side of open wing pose. Therefore, next posture will be the left side of open wing pose. However, in yin or restorative yoga, we often switch things up a little bit and do a couple different postures in a row. So in open wing, we open the shoulder, and the next posture, we're going to get a different shoulder stretch that inverses that. It is often called crisscross arm stretch, which isn't super creative. I have heard it called mummy pose before, which I think is really fun. And this is another one where you might want a blanket or a pillow under your head. So for crisscross arms or for mummy stretch, rather than having your right arm out, you're going to bring your right arm underneath you. And now you'll feel this nice opening through the shoulder, the scapula, and the deltoid. You have an option to stay here with your head resting on, I like to rest my head down on my mat, or you can then cross the left arm on top, and this is the full crisscross arm. It's a little uncomfortable for me, might be for you too. And then you can drop your head down. But the idea is you don't want to like drop your head all the way down to the floor so that it's out of line with your neck. So I'm gonna, pardon me, with the rest of your spine. So I'm gonna roll up my little towel here extra deep so that I can really just relax my forehead down. And we're gonna hold here for 2 minutes. Rather than forcing into the posture, see if you can just relax into the posture. With every exhale, getting a little deeper. About 20 seconds left. If you'd like to try a different variation or hold just where you are, feel free. Okay. So if you have your head down, forehead resting on your pillow, start by just lifting your head up. If you have your left arm crossed over, start by releasing the left arm, put your left hand on the floor, release the right arm, and then belly savasana. You can have your elbows bent out, you can keep your head on your mat pillow or arms down, either head on the floor or looking to either side. And again, if you do want to look to one side for that nice neck release, I'll tell you when we're halfway through so you can look to the other side. All this to say though, if belly savasana, if belly puddle pose does not feel right for your body, please know that you can take this period of rest either lying on your back or on your side. The idea is you're just letting your body stretch out. But if it's uncomfortable to lie on your stomach, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, please feel free to lie on your side or your back. If you are looking to one side, slowly lift your head, look to the other side. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. Good. Slowly lift your head, bring your chin forward, put your hands on the floor and push yourself up. We're coming into our longest hold posture of the day called saddle pose. I'm going to give a bunch of different variations of it. It's often called saddle pose in yin yoga or hero pose. Or in 26 and 2 yoga, we do a version of it called fixed firm or Supta Vajrasana. So I'll give you a bunch of different options and I'll start by showing you from the side. The first is to simply sit with your hips on your heels so you get this nice stretch through your toes, ankles, knees, your quadricep muscles. You're always welcome to place a blanket or towel under your ankles or toes if you're tight there, or even between your knees and thighs if it hurts to sit down. So know that you can always use a blanket under knees, under ankles, in between, if that helps you sit down more or just makes your life a little bit more comfortable. So this is option A, holding here. Option 2, for more of what we call hero or fixed firm, can open your knees and feet and start to sit down between your heels. You're welcome to place a blanket or pillow under your butt or under your ankles here so that you can sit a little bit more comfortably. This is option 2, giving you lots of options, okay? Well, crazy. Option 3, one-legged straddle. For this one, make sure that you have a blanket or pillow under your butt so you're propped up a little bit. You're gonna keep one leg straight and the other leg bent. And if you wanna do a one-legged straddle, you are welcome to do it and I will tell you when we're halfway through so that you can do the other side. This is option 3. Option 4 can go back as far as you want into what in 26 and 2 pose we would call fixed firm. You can get a deep back bend here, you can have your arms down by your sides or arms overhead. So this is option 5. And if you're doing the one-legged saddle, you can also come back. And if you're feeling really crazy in one-legged saddle and you'd like a super intense stretch, this is crazy, you can bend your right leg up, interlock your fingers, and grab your shin, and then you will really feel it on the hip and quadricep. So lots of different fun things here that you can do with your body. Okay, we're already over a minute in. I'm gonna hold here for 4 more minutes. So if you practiced hot yoga 26 and 2 yoga with me, we hold this posture for like 30 seconds, a minute, right? And for some of us, we don't go very far in it. Again, in this style of yoga, please feel free to come up. You can always use blankets under your butt, under your ankles, under your knees, all of that stuff. But again, when we hold it for 30 seconds, a minute, some of us might be like, oh yeah, this posture, like it's easy for me, right? When in fact, holding it for a long period of time, that's when we really start to work into the joints of the toes, the ankles, the knees, the hips. Maybe having arms overhead, the shoulder. And when you tuck your chin into your chest a little bit, you work into the neck too, right? So you're opening through the chest and shoulders, but then you're lengthening through the neck spine. This truly is like the crown posture of head, shoulders, knees, and toes yoga, in my opinion. So if you do fixed firm in 26 and 2 yoga with me like every day, and you're like, I've never had a problem with this pose, and you've been holding it for a minute and a half now, 2 minutes, and you're like, ooh, this is really intense. Remember that you can do something else. You can come out early. You can try one-legged. And please, if something is bothering your body, like if it does not feel right, if it is causing you to grit your teeth or hold your breath, please come up and try a different variation. For sure, we want to get a stretch. That can at times be uncomfortable, I should say, but you're never going to a point of pain, a point where you can't breathe. So we're at the halfway point here. If you are doing one-legged saddle, carefully come up if you're lying back. Come into tabletop and then reverse the legs. Other leg out in front, lying down. And again, we're at the halfway point, so if what you're doing does not feel sustainable for another 2 minutes at this point, please feel free to take another variation. Otherwise, just holding where you are as you breathe in and out through your nose. The other nice thing about this posture, it's an internal rotation a bit to the hips. When we sit in between our heels, the hips are internally rotating slightly. A lot of yoga is based on external rotation to the hips. So this is a nice way to move in the other direction. Got 1 minute left. Everybody's doing great. Okay, and about 20 seconds left. This is the part, if you'd like to get a deeper stretch, maybe by bringing the knees closer together if you're in fixed firm, or lifting your chest more, sitting back more, pressing the heels down to the floor, whatever that is for you, feel free. Take a slow inhale and a slow exhale. Okay, we're going to very slowly come out of this. Please go slow, take your time. So if you're an elderly person, moving slowly. If you're seated all the way back, place your hands on your feet or the floor behind you. Carefully push yourself up. Take your time. You can take a moment here with a counter stretch, maybe sitting on your hips, maybe windshield wiping the knees, Bend one knee, straighten the other. Woo. And then lie on your back or petal pose. Oh gosh, and just let everything go. You might feel a shift in blood moving in the body. You might feel an intense release or something else. Another nice thing about petal pose is we just get to bear witness, right? So just notice what's going on in your body as you release out of straddle pose, hero pose, fixed firm pose, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes the release from the posture is as intense and as therapeutic as the posture itself. So we cut off some blood circulation to the lower body, not so much that it was dangerous, right? But we did cut off a little bit of circulation to the toes, the ankles, the knees. And now we get this big rush of blood to the lower body. It's really good if you have scar tissue in the knees or in the ankles or the toes. Coming out of this posture is so good for working through that scar tissue. Posture itself stretches the muscles, works into the joints, release of the posture works into blood flow. I was watching a Bernie Clark video on this particular posture that we just did. Bernie Clark, for those of you who don't know, is considered like the godfather of yin yoga, of longer hold yoga postures. And he is older and he has a very dry sense of humor. He looks very serious. He doesn't really smile. And in this posture, it just cracked me up because he's so serious and he's just talking very calmly. And then he's like, let's talk about getting out of the posture. The easiest way to get out of the posture is to call an ambulance or to have a crane pick you up and move you. He was like, however, if you don't want to call an ambulance, then you can slowly push yourself up and walk yourself up. But I think that will stick with me for a long time. We've all had that moment where we're like, it would be really great if a crane could come and pick me up out of this posture because I don't quite know how to get out of it, right? Especially when we hold postures for long periods of time, our body kind of sets in that way. And sometimes when we release out, when we release out of the posture, we feel quite creaky, right? I'm right there with you. Take a slow inhale and a slow exhale. Okay, bend your legs up, feet on the floor, let your knees rest together. And slowly roll to the left side so that your left torso is on the floor. We're gonna do the other side of open wing and crisscross arms, shoulder stretch. So again, you're gonna wanna take your blanket or towel and place it under your left ear, under your neck. Place your right hand on the floor on the right side of your mat. Keep your left leg straight, bend your right leg up so your right foot is on the floor. Lift up a little bit, take your left hand behind you out to the left so that your left arm is perpendicular to your body. Option to stay here, right hip on top of left hip, right shoulder on top of left shoulder. Option to come down a little bit so that your chest or even your leg is resting on the floor, right? So it's not so much of a stretch. Or option for those of you feeling adventurous to reach your right hand up and drape it behind you, maybe catching your hands together for a bind. Then just honoring what your body is telling you in this moment. We're gonna hold here for 3 minutes, already 2 minutes through, or 1 minute through. Notice where you're carrying tension in your body. Let it go with your exhale breath. Notice where you're fighting the posture. And just give in, just relaxing into the posture rather than forcing your way into the posture. And then also notice what you're thinking about, right? See if you can keep your mind with your breath, with your body, staying present in this moment. And that's a practice, right? Inevitably in class, all of us, our minds will wander, right? If you were able to concentrate on your breath for a full 60 minutes, I am so jealous, I commend you. But if you, like me, if your mind wanders from time to time, that's okay. We're just always gently returning our thoughts to our breath. into the truth of the present moment. About 30 seconds left. Option to stay where you are, ease up a little bit, or maybe go a little bit deeper towards the end. Take a slow inhale and a slow exhale. You're going to slowly come out of it. So if you have your right hand wrapped behind you for a bind, start by releasing that grip. Place your right hand back on the floor, close to your face, and then slowly bring your chest and abdomen down to the floor. And we'll take another belly savasana, or of course you can lie on your side or on your back. And you can have your elbows out or down, and have your head straight down, or maybe look to one side and then the other. If you're looking to one side, slowly lift your head, looking to the other side. As you inhale, feel the backs of your ribs expand. As you exhale, let them fall. We often think of our ribs just from the front, because that's what we can see in a mirror, right? But your ribs are three-dimensional, just like the rest of your body. So think about the backs of your ribs moving as well as the front. Breathing in and breathing out. Slowly lift your head, look straight ahead, and you will want that blanket nearby so that your neck stays in line with the rest of your spine for the other side of crisscross arm or mummy pose. So this time, take your left hand out to the left. Option to stay here with just the left arm moving in, or cross the right arm on front. And then as you're ready, relax your head down for this nice stretch. And we're gonna hold here for 2 minutes. I have to tell you guys, I usually don't love this posture, and it is feeling really good today. I don't know about you, but such a delight. Sometimes I have preconceived notions of yoga postures, and I don't even give myself a chance. I'm like, oh, I don't like that posture, or I'm like, oh, this is the best, but often it's such a delight when we get surprised. And with a long-term yoga practice, the posture that you used to hate at some point will become your favorite. And the one that, used to be the easiest at some point will become very hard. The body does change, and that's what's so beautiful about yoga. We can return to these unchanging postures and notice how we have changed, right? So it's a nice little control group, a way to kind of notice what's going on, not just in your body, but with your spirit as well. About 15 seconds left. Okay, if you have both arms crossed, start by lifting your head. Uncross the top right arm. Take your time, bring the left arm out, and then Savasana. Option to take it on your stomach, your back, your side. I'm really enjoying the belly Savasanas today, belly puddle poses. But you find a shape that works for you, as long as you're breathing. Just think about releasing into the floor. If you're looking to one side on your stomach, look to the other side. If you're on your back, take your time rolling off to one side and slowly push yourself up. If you're on your stomach, lift your head, look forward, place your hands on the floor and slowly push yourself up. So we're all going to meet in a seated position for our last active yoga posture of the day called butterfly pose. So for butterfly pose, you're gonna sit on your butt and you're gonna bend your legs out so your feet come close together. This is considered, I love this is considered the most spiritual of yoga classes because it is literally the merging of two souls. Isn't that adorable? So here's the deal with butterfly pose. When you take it to its extreme of bringing your heels all the way into your groin, you're gonna feel it in the abductors and the hips. When you take it to the other extreme of what we would call stretching or caterpillar with your legs straight and your feet together, you'd feel it purely in the hamstrings. Yin offers a middle ground where you have your heels a little bit further out so that you feel it gently in the hamstrings as well as the hips and inner thighs. All of these muscles work into knee health. So all of the muscles that surround the knees, right? The quadriceps, the hamstrings, the abductors and adductors, AKA inner thighs, outer thighs, backs of the thighs, tops of the thighs, those all work into our knee tightness. So this nice kind of open and loose version of butterfly is a great way to gently work into all of the muscles that make our knees work the way that they do. Your option to stay right here and sit up tall. If you'd like, you can even place your hands on your knees and gently press down, or you can start to walk your hands forward and lean forward. If you have a history of slip discs, this rounded spine might be a little bit too intense for the back. Feel free to sit up or have your hands on the floor in front of you, sticking your butt out so that your back is flat. Otherwise, you can let the spine round and drop your head down. We're gonna hold here for 2 minutes. I think sometimes when we think about oh, I want a good knee stretch, right? We think purely about how can I feel this only in my knees? But it's a, posture like this is supposed to be very good for your knees, even though you might really feel it in your knees, but you might actually just feel it in the surrounding areas. And that's normal too, right? Our different parts of our body work in harmony with one another. So when we work the areas that surround the knees, we make for a healthier knee structure. Same thing with working through our shoulders, our middle spine, our neck, our head, working into the areas surrounding the shoulder, surrounding the toes, surrounding the knees, the hips. That also works into it, right? Often, I'm from Seattle where there's a lot of earthquakes. And if you've ever watched an earthquake-proof building, what does it do? It sways, right? And that's kind of what our body does. When we're tight in one area, the body will take pressure off of it by swaying somewhere else. Where that gets unproductive is when we're overly compensating, right? Like if my left ankle is sprained, what do? I put all my weight on my right foot. And if you do that for a year, your right ankle's in a lot of pain. So we don't want to overly compensate. But again, working in the areas of the body that surround the knees or surround the toes or the ankles or the head, that kind of thing works too, right? The body works in unison. About 10 seconds left. Take a slow inhale. Slow exhale. Okay, and if you're leaning forward in a new way, slowly push yourself up, take your time, and then find yourself in your final puddle pose. You are welcome to place a pillow like under your head, under your knees, under your lower back. Can place a blanket on top of you if that feels good. Just get really comfortable. So we started with this grounding practice, right, of noticing our 5 senses. For our final puddle pose here, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, turning off that sense, and just focus on the specific sensation of touch. What do you feel? Start to give into the floor just a little bit more. And let the floor hold you up. I also started class by talking about, we can massage ourselves, right? We can validate ourselves. We don't need to seek external validation. But by the same token, sometimes we get so, fixed on being self-efficient, self-supportive, that it's like we don't want anybody to help us, to the point where we don't even want the floor to hold us up, right? But just for this moment, let the floor hold you up. Allow yourself to truly be held by the ground beneath you. By the air around you. Just appreciating this unique space and time with this body, with this breath, with these other yogis, albeit virtual. Just allowing the ground beneath you to hold you up, the air around you to hold you in this unique space, in this unique time, in this body that is constantly regenerating and changing, with these fellow yogis, albeit virtual. Take a slow inhale through your nose, feel your heart gently lift. Slow exhale through the nose, just sighing it all out. Breathing in. Emptying out through the exhale. Last time, slow inhale. And with your exhale breath, just give yourself permission to let go of that thing that you have been holding onto oh so tightly. Just unclenching a little bit more, softening, releasing, breathing in, breathing out, and all is coming. Can stay in final Savasana for as long as you'd like. When you do feel that you would like to change speed, take your time slowly sitting up. Make sure that you drink water after class. Drink lots of water, drink lots of water, drink lots of water, and I hope to see you all very soon.